It's so good to see you again. How have you been?
It's so good to see you too. I've been good. Hope you've been too, and also practicing all we discussed at the last training.
Oh yes, the impact created left be roaring to go. I'm so glad you're here to talk to us again, especially on such a sensitive subject matter.
You know what the issues are surrounding gender-based violence, and there's no overemphasizing the problem. It's become such a menace.
I have a general idea on this, but I'll like to know more and better. What exactly is gender-based violence?
Gender-based violence, GBV, is violence that is directed at an individual based on his or her biological sex or gender identity. It includes physical, sexual, verbal, emotional, and psychological abuse, threats, coercion, and economic or educational deprivation, whether occurring in public or private life. Gender-based violence is an issue faced by people all over the world.
Why do we talk about gender-based violence?
Women are disproportionately harmed by gender-based violence. That is why hundreds of organizations focus on ending violence against women. According to the United Nations Population Fund, 1 in 3 women have experienced physical or sexualized violence in their lifetime. That is not including emotional, financial, or verbal abuse. Despite being so prevalent, gender-based violence is largely underreported because of stigma and lack of access to resources and support systems.
That's interesting. Please tell me more.
GBV can impact anyone regardless of the geographical location, socioeconomic background, race, religion, sexuality, or gender identity. While women and girls are the most at risk and the most affected by gender-based violence, boys, men, and sexual and gender minorities also experience gender-based violence.
Yes, I was going to ask if it only affects women. Can you shed more light on it?
Oh, it affects both male and female, young or old. GBV can have serious physical, mental, economic, and social repercussions. For example, sexualized violence can lead to unwanted pregnancies, unsafe abortions, and STI transmission, as well as isolation and depression. It can also prevent survivors from achieving economic prosperity because of stigma or physical and psychological trauma caused by the violence. Why don't you take a sit?
Is there any explanation for these behaviors?
The prevalence of gender-based violence worldwide is largely due to systemic gender inequality that disempowers women, girls, and other minorities, and stifles their voices so that the stories are not heard and their natural human rights can be more easily taken away. The cycle of violence is further perpetuated by lack of justice, a dearth of available resources, or lack of economic opportunities, which leads to the survivor being dependent on the abuser. For example, in the United States only 6% of rapists are likely to face incarceration, and perpetrators of honor killing around the world are rarely persecuted. This allows violent groups and individuals to continue abusing their power without fear of repercussions.
That's terrible. What are some examples of GBV?
GBV can manifest in many different forms, and it is important that we identify what qualifies as gender-based violence. Think of it as an act of violence that is directly related to or justified by using the gender of the victim or survivors. GBV can happen in the private or public sphere, in kitchens and bedrooms and streets, markets and boardrooms, or in the refugee camps. It can include street harassment, i.e. groping, whistling, or unwanted attention in public spaces, and marital rape and intimate partner violence. There are many forms of GBV that have been challenged as traditions in certain communities. Early marriages, rape, trafficking of persons, sexual violence, female genital mutilation, wife and husband battery, etc. are some examples of GBV.
What is being done about GBV?
UN Women promotes early intervention that focuses on promoting relationships between boys and girls based on respect and equality through education. USAID also emphasizes prevention through awareness, but also emphasizes the need for improved services for survivors of GBV. While the Global Fund for Women is supporting more localized efforts, such as working to end GBV in the garment industry in South Asia. In Cross River State, His Excellency Senator Professor Ben Yates, through the Ministry of Women Affairs, has established a GBV center where cases are reported and there's immediate intervention. Cross River is also one of the few states in Nigeria where the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, (VAPP), has been adopted. The Child Rights Act of 2003 has also been adopted.
That's correct. Our digital governor is ensuring that the citizens of the state are protected.
Most definitely.
What should be done if you experience or witness GBV?
Simply walk into the Ministry of Women Affairs and ask for the desk officer for GBV protection, prevention. The matter will be taken up from there. Counseling services are also readily available at the center.
Thank you. You've given me so much information to process. I surely will pass on the message as this must get to everyone as we join hands to eliminate gender-based violence from Cross River State.